And your pasta, no clue far from the plan. Tottenham stranded in shadows, no man's land. Lost on the pitch, echoes in the night. Fans screaming loud, no end in sight. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football nest. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Shift the blame like drifting sand. Promises empty, no steady hand. Wandering clueless in the football nest. Wishing for a twist, but nightmares persist. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumble and bind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Speechless, impressed, they're at the ground. No solutions, nowhere to be found. Fans on the side, hearts turned to stone. Stadium echoes a lonesome drone. Whispers in the air, they speak of change. Hope on the horizon feels so strange. Question marks in every wayward pass. And close the future fading fast. Where's the Leo who waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumble and blind. Tottenham's lost its mind. Where's the Leo we waited in vain? Pains us deeply every season the same. No direction, stumbling blind. Tottenham's lost its mind.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town on a Monday night. And you know this every Monday. That's right. Smash like, subscribe, hit notification bell, all the good stuff. As always, thanks for being here. Big up the chat, big up the panel, big up the Spurs fans, and big up to all the Arsenal fans who watch us who have all gone missing for some really weird reason yet again. Just a fact for you all. We beat Man United 3 times this year, Arsenal. Just saying. I'm just putting it out there, okay? How you doing, everyone? Excited? Good weekend? Looking forward to Thursday? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Lord of mercy. God help us Thursday night. God help us Thursday night. Iggy, how you doing, bro? How you been?
I'm all right. Yeah, entertained again after last night. So I like yesterday afternoon's game, but here we are. Another game's gone by. We'll get into it in a sec. I'm sure we will got a lot to say in it. But yeah, no. To answer your question, I'm very well. You good?
I'm better than yesterday. I mean, yesterday was a great day, except for the 90 minutes of football that I sat there and watched. Other than that, it was a pretty good day.
I think I must have heard you say that about every single time we've gone Spurs this season. So
listen,
yeah,
I had Chit King, right? I had Chit King.
Hey, silver lining and all of that.
I had 2 pints of Guinness. I had a mixed kebab. I sat there on a table with all the Spurs boys. We had a good laugh. Met Michael and his brother from Poland. It was a good day. Just that bit inside the stadium was a
that little part, that little 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, what's 90 minutes when you spend 12 hours
Yeah.
at the game? So, it's not all bad, is it? Big up to everyone in the chat, by the way. Good evening. I hope you're well, families are well, and all of that.
Big up. How you doing, JP? You good? I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah, not bad. Iggy, I'd say Iggy's looking fresh, man. Like, I know I've probably not seen him for a little while, but he's like, he had a nice haircut and stuff. Groomed well. Looking good.
No, that's still got to cut it. But yeah, no, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't be there, guys. I know I missed Michael yesterday, but
Yeah,
go on, sorry.
It was good yesterday. It was nice seeing Michael. It was nice seeing young Archie as well. So that was good.
Fantastic.
Mate, I've still got the meat sweats. I've got the meat sweats.
Fantastic.
That place.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Looks like him as well, doesn't he?
It's so funny.
Incredible resemblance.
And the people in the restaurant were looking out the window, like, what are they doing? What's so famous? What's going on outside? And they just didn't get it. Oh, by the way, big up to Sanilla. Watches the channel, is in the comments. Sanilla, thank you, bro. Appreciate you for coming up to us and saying hello. Michael and his brother in Chit King, the infamous Chit King, Phil P on the sauce yesterday. Woo! Woo! By the way, the Antwerp Palms got taken over by Bournemouth fans. Bournemouth fans over the pub.
Yeah, it's a good pub, man. Good pub, out of the way.
Big up to box office, Graham. Everyone else in the house yesterday. Yeah. So, how you doing, Lee? How you been? You been all right?
Splendid, sir.
Living the dream, living the Tottenham dream.
Living the dream.
When you
webcam surround and a little badge at the bottom, I thought that was quite cool. That's entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike yesterday.
Oh, we all need one of those. Oh, I want one of those. That's quite cool. I like that. Are you excited, Lee, when you see that we are now the fourth highest earning football club in European football? That when you see these kind of financials, you must be excited when we're getting a draw against Bournemouth at home. Must all make sense, right, Lee? Well,
it's the ambition, it's the target, right? It's what we all want, and it's great to see. As long as they can put it back into additional money for tickets for new shows, Red Hot Chili Peppers, maybe a bit of
hotel. Don't forget hotel.
ABBA reunion next year. I'm all for it. Great, keep
ABBA
going.
Reunion. ABBA reunion. Chaz and Dave. Oh, rabbit, my lord.
Rabbit.
How you doing, Lupo? You good? Good day yesterday.
All good. Had a very good day today. Went on a stadium tour with AZ Alkmaar. It was very amusing. Had a nice haircut today. I know you're all laughing. It only takes 10 minutes. That's all. Nice 10-minute relaxation every 4 weeks to look good for tonight's show. And here we are. So
nice and pampered, eh?
Absolutely.
I had to come on tonight just to represent the people with hair because, quite frankly, we're underrepresented.
We do actually discriminate against people with hair on this channel, don't we? It's quite an abusive channel if you don't have hair on your head. Echo
chamber, eh?
Balding chamber. It's a balding chamber. So I spoke to you on the phone, Lubo, and you said that Aussie Dealers gave you some info about the kids. Should we do it later on, or do you want to do it now?
Whenever you want.
But you know, actually, I'll tell you what, let's do it later on. I'll tell you why. Let's do it later on because I've just realised the title of the show today is When Is Enough Enough? So let's start there. But before we get into the Bournemouth game and the game coming up this week, and Iggy, when is enough enough? As in, when will the owners or the fans just say, do you know what, this really can't just keep going on? Because excuse one, excuse two, we're on excuse number 453. I mean, Ange indirectly called out the fans yesterday. In fact, I'll read it here. Look, I'll read it here. So his comments post-match. Chaotic game for us for sure. We added to the chaos and it was a little bit self-inflicted, especially in the first half. Just with the ball, we were really careless with our passing, and that allowed the game to be played on the terms Bournemouth would like with their transition football. So, yeah, chaotic, but 2-0 down, it would have just been easy, particularly with the atmosphere, as it was for the boys to just let the game get away from us. So he took a little shot at the fans by saying, come on, where's the atmosphere? But when you're playing so rubbish, what does he want us to do? When look at this, guys. Look at this for the home games. Okay, these are our last, I think, 10 odd home games that we've played, something like that. We lost to Ipswich, drew with Fulham, lost to Chelsea, lost to Liverpool, drew with Wolves, lost to Newcastle, lost to Leicester, beat Man U, lost to Man City. We are abysmal at home. We're actually, and do you know what? It's so bad, right? It's so bad that this season, it's official. It's impossible for Spurs to record 10 home victories in the Premier League this season. First time since 2010 when Harry Redknapp was here. We're going back 15 years. And this is on the assumption that we win all our remaining home games, which we're not. So even if we win all our remaining home games, it will be impossible for us to win 10 home games this year. When's enough? When is it enough?
Well, for me, I think I sound like a broken record now because I've said this many a times. For me, I drew the line shortly after the Man City 4-0 away win because although I was very happy with the result and I was saying it, you know, guys, you got to enjoy these wins when they come because they've been so far and few between. But we were chatting about it, and I said, do you think this is the turning point? I'd hoped that would be the turning point because I saw things on that night that we hadn't seen for a while. In the way we played, with a bit lower block and the fullbacks staying wide instead of inverted. There were things that I'd seen there, and I just thought we're only going to know if this is a change in the next sort of 2 or 3, 4 games after that. If he's picked any, even if he hadn't planned it to go the way that it did, he would look at that game and say, do you know what? There's things that I saw in this game that not necessarily the way I do things, but I liked it. It worked, and I'm going to incorporate it to my way of doing things. And I said that night in that stream that we did that we would have to see the next 3 or 4 games if he's learned anything from it. And lo and behold, 3 or 4 games after that Man City 4-0 game, we kind of just reverted back to the way we were. You know, we went back to the high line, we went back to the inverted full. So anything that he could have picked up on that Man City game that tactically worked, that he didn't really set out for, or had he? That was the question, and it turned out to be it's just a fluke, in the sense of it just happened that way. He adjusted only because it was Man City, and then after I went back to so for me, to answer your question, that was the time that I'd had enough. I thought this guy's not the full ticket. And from then till now, it's just the same continuation. You know, it's a season riddled with injuries, riddled with tactics and high lines and stuff like that, and along with terrible results that you just shown. And at what point is enough? Enough is enough. That has to be one of the most depressing things that I've seen like in a long time. Those runner games of how many wins in there, you know, one win here and there with a loads of losses and the odd draw. And I was thinking, when was the last time it had been so bad? And you just said 2010. So honestly, I don't see how this improves. I can't see this guy changing because he's proven that he's not going to change. And he continues to do what he did yesterday. We'll get into the Bournemouth game, and we saw continuous stuff like that. And then finally, to have a pop at the fans when they've been subjected to dross performances, followed with even worse results, a home advantage. Honestly, who's scared at coming at White Hart Lane these days to play Spurs? I don't see any team coming with any kind of fear. the fans, the home fans. So, and then to at the end of it all, to then say to the Spurs fans who turn up in numbers week in week out, a full sellout. That tells you everything you need to know about the fans. You can say they moan and maybe they're not happy with it, but they are present every game at every home match. 60,000 pitches, and the stadium's always sold out. To then have a pop at them because they're not, when you're giving them so much shit, I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement to make, and he should be thinking about his shitty performances that we're putting in every week in week out. And no, for me, enough is enough. Like I said, was a few months back, and I just now watch the games. In all honesty, and I'm being frank because I've always been honest with you guys here and the guys that that follow us on the channel. I follow Spurs matches and that with great disinterest, even during the games. I find myself on my phone and what have you, looking at the comments in online and stuff, what everyone's talking about. But I'm not engaged, and I hate saying this. I'm not fully engaged what's happening on the pitch, and that for me is not a good place to be. I follow Spurs. I watch the Spurs game. I sit through it even though I know what I'm going to see. But to say that it's just disinterest. And the only thing that's keeping the season even a little bit interest is this second leg coming up. We don't make the qualifications to the next round this Thursday night. I really fail to see what the hell we can speak about at the end of the season, because all we'll have will be league games. And
But I think that's it, Iggy, isn't it? Thursday night, if we go out, I think that is enough for a lot of people. I know we've been, in this situation for a while now. Don't want him here. Don't think it's sustainable. Don't think his tactics are sustainable, etc. I think once we're out of that last competition, I think that's going to be enough for a lot more fans. I think that's what's keeping them around, to be honest, because other than that, we've got absolutely nothing to look forward to the end of the season, right? And just as on a side note on this, there's a lot of people out there still saying, giving him time, give him 2 or 3 years, etc., etc. I can't even look forward to next season, even if we do go out and thinking about what we could do next season, because if he does stay around, you have to admit, apart from one definite piece of dead wood that we still haven't got rid of, which is Ben Davies, what makes anyone think that this isn't the team that we're going to go into next season? Unless there's players like, Romero that jumped ship. Potentially, I mean, the way that Spence talked was looking at the end of that game yesterday, frustration. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd like to move on. Madders as well. There's rumours going around that Maddison's already looking out the door. What do we think is going to be any different next year? Because Levy's not going to spend a load more money if all we've got is the league. We've got no Europe, nothing else. We ain't spending no money. So we got to get, if people really do think that he should stay and he's give him another year, then expect exactly the same as what we've got this year, next year. And that's all. That's exactly what it's going to be. So but hopefully, I want to say hopefully, because I don't want us to go out on Thursday. I want us to beat these guys and I want us to get to the next round. But I think if we do go out, that's it. I think a lot more people are going to turn than like now. I really do.
JP, Ian, when's enough, guys? When is enough?
What I would say is, funny enough, you titled that because I did a video last Friday saying when is enough. And literally on that was after last Thursday's result, I was done. And my whole point of that video was, if we want to progress in this tournament, we should have got rid of him last Friday and got in someone who can organise that team, get everyone a little bit geared up for this game on Thursday. Because the whole debacle about, oh, don't worry, we've still got the Carabao Cup. We're 1-0 up against Liverpool. We'll go there and all we need to do is draw. That door got firmly shut in our face. Don't worry, we've got the FA Cup. After the Tamworth debacle, that door got shut in our face at Villa. And this door is closed virtually, right? It's half a jar, should we say, right? Now, the positives, I say positives, they didn't actually score in their home game, right? We actually scored an own goal. Now, I probably see us fluking it on Thursday, but in all honesty, I watched the game with Ajax against Frankfurt, and that was a great game of football. Watching those two teams, to see those two teams come up against us, I don't even if I know if I want to watch it behind curtains or anything. Like they're gonna rip us a new one. So whether we get embarrassed this Thursday or we get embarrassed in a couple of weeks' time, whenever that is, the embarrassment's coming, and literally he's just hanging on by the skin of his teeth. He's on the cliff, like with his nails, I reckon, kind of almost like that. Because as Lee said, like by keeping him, we've got no European football, so there's none of that extra money coming in. Are we really going to buy more players? And the conversation I had yesterday was with Shy was who's going to want any of these players of ours? Are we going to be able to sell Bentancur to anyone? Is anyone going to buy Brennan Johnson? Is anyone going to buy any of those players that we've got there if we want to reshuffle it in any way whatsoever? But I still firmly do believe that if we get a decent manager in who knows how to set up formations, who knows how to be tactically astute in game, who knows how to look at the opposition, look how they play, be able to pick holes and pinpoints like every single manager does against us every single week. If we get a manager that's able to do that, I think those players will have a change of heart. There'll be a new zest of life in them. Some of them are still like Brennan Johnson. I don't know what else he can do, to be fair. But I think a lot of those players, you could get another 25, 30% out of them with the right person at the helm. Hence, if we go out next Thursday, I would sack him straight away. As soon as we go out those cups, I would get rid of him. And I know we're not going to go and get a manager, but ideally, if we went in and got a manager now, that would give him till now to the end of the season to do whatever he needs to do for his formation, understand the players, all of that palaver, so we can start next season hitting the ground running. As opposed to putting Mason in or someone else taking temporary charge from now to the end of the season. It's another 6 months, right? Whoever we get. Oh, the adjustment period, the bedding in period, understanding formation period, don't know the players period, all of that crap. That's another season down the pan. Enough is enough now still. Get rid of him now. Is my view.
Ian, enough is now, okay? He's got to go. But Iriola comes in, we get top four, we get to a semi-final of an FA Cup. We don't get past that round because Man City spend 300 million in the summer and they've got a better team and we just get beaten on the day. And Champions League is kind of as far as we can go. Does it become enough is enough again? Because my thinking is Ange has to go. Half of this squad has to go. We rebuilt the squad. We've got a better manager. We're competing. But then we're back to that. Is this ownership going to want to push on that extra mile and actually become a successful football club? Or are we going to be saying enough is enough in 3 years' time?
Ian, I'm really sorry. Can I just say one last thing just before I shut up? That all that crap about him talking about the fans and the atmosphere and stuff like that. The way the turgid football that we've had to watch, he should be actually thankful that there's fans in that ground.
It's true. It's true. We've got every reason not to turn up. That's so true. Yeah, Ian. In fact, let me rephrase my question. Are there two enough is enoughs? One for the manager, one for the owners?
Definitely. If you just take the facts, last season, after 10 games, we're top by a couple of points, 2-3 points. From the Chelsea game onwards, and that form has continued this year, pretty much. That took us from first to fifth. We only finished fifth, as we know, because we had that great start beginning of the season last year. This year, that inconsistent form has carried on. So we're going to finish between 13th and 16th. So if it keeps going to next year and this downward trend carries on, we'll end up relegated. So I don't see, for me, he should have gone in the last season. We had 40 points from the last 28 games. We were wide open. We were getting hit. Newcastle hit us for 4. Liverpool were 4 up before we came back with a late couple of goals. I mean, Brighton bashed us, Fulham bashed us. It was embarrassing. And if we'd have had owners and a director of football or head of football operations who knew what they were doing and understood the game, then Ange would have gone. I don't see him lasting. If we go out Thursday, I don't think we will. If we go out Thursday, I think he'll be gone. There'll be no point keeping him on. There'll be nothing to gain. He'd have taken us from 5th to 14th, 15th, whatever, and out of 3 cups. So how can you have a record like that and deserve to keep your job?
Guys, I'm a bit confused. What difference would it make getting rid of him straight after if we were to have a Europa Cup exit? Why get rid of him then? Because the damage is already done. We would have been out of all the cups, out of the league. We've got nothing to play for because it makes no difference where we end up. We're going to be no different even if we do get rid of him and get someone else in. We're going to be where we are now. What will it?
I'd say
wait to the end of the season and then cut the losses.
The difference is that the team don't look like they're playing for him.
But why are we dealing with it now? This should have been dealt with for Christmas.
Correct.
What we're seeing now is no different from what we saw a month, 2, 3, 4 months ago.
If players are thinking of leaving, Iggy, if players are thinking of leaving and we get rid of Ange, maybe those players might give it a second chance. They might say, right, you got rid of him. We know he's not here next year. We know that. So we're going to stick around. We're not going to look to move, but we want to see who you bring in next. Maybe it just keeps a couple of that are on the fringe. It maybe
if you're worried about keeping players,
I ain't worried about that, to be honest.
I'm personally not. Secondly, if you're going to worry about something like that, act on it. If you're having these issues, act on it when you still have a lot to play for. For me, after Christmas and New Year's, you knew exactly what was happening. Even if you've done it at the end of January, so you wouldn't spend any money in January. Do it when you've still got shit.
Yeah, but we said that. We said that in January. We said that in January.
I know we said it. I'm saying it. Why? My question was, why do it after Thursday night?
Do you remember in January? Do you remember in January we had that big debate where we said sack him now and save the season. Whilst there's a chance to save it, sack him now. We said it.
My point is, I'm in agreement with that. By the way, I wanted him gone then because I said, you know what, we still got stuff to play. We're still in the FA Cup and all that. Still got stuff to do it. If we get what I'm trying to get at is, it made sense to do it back in January, like you rightly say. But to do it if we get a Europa Cup exit, say get rid of him now, in the sake of keeping the players and shit like that. If the players know the manager's going at the end of the season, then they'll still they will still stay if they plan to stay. If not, they can go.
But do you imagine how toxic it's going to get with him here for another 10 games and knowing the season's over?
They're almost dead games anyway, aren't they?
Iggy,
you think we're going to come back to life if we get rid of him? I don't know.
No, let me answer you. I think
maybe we play a different style of football and it gets some of these players like Adogis and Madisons and Odeberts, for example. I'm just making it up now. Maybe it starts getting a tune out of them. We think, do you know what? There's actually a player there.
It's easy to play. Like we had someone say once, it's easy when the pressure's off and then play football. It's easy to play without no pressure.
Hang on,
Iggy. Flying then.
Right, in terms
to play,
that's a good point. That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
In terms of why didn't he get rid of him then? Why would he get rid of him after we've gone out all the trophies? My theory is that Levy took so much flack over the Mourinho dismissal.
Rightly so.
Yeah, quite right. That he's looking at a situation. He's saying, right, we've got a manager here. I've brought him in. He has brought him in to win trophies. That's what he's
I
here
agree,
to
Riggs.
do. We're in 3 cups. We're not going to win the league. And why would I sack him while we're in the cups? And the Europa that we're left in, if we do win it, then that gives him the Champions League that he wants.
Mate,
So that's the only logic.
His record is so good in that, Ian, isn't it?
Sorry?
Ian,
His record is so good in that.
Well,
Ian,
I think we'll
no
keep.
manager. I don't remember another manager on the back of these results and performances. So for me, one doesn't outweigh the other. I think combination of performances and results. For me, no manager at any level, whether you're top tier, middle tier, or bottom tier, would have lasted as long as Ange Postecoglou has this season. I don't know what he has on Levy to still be on the job. I really don't. Because
I
on
think-
results alone, even if you're playing well, if you're playing shit and you're getting better results, I think he still would have gone. If he's playing good and getting these results, he still would have gone. But the fact that he's playing the way he is and getting these results for the length that he's been getting them in double figures in defeats, and we will keep going. We're going to talk about the amount of games that we got left and who we got them against and where do you see these wins coming. I'm seeing more defeats than I am wins, even with the players back.
But Levy can't get away with it again. If Ange goes, Levy can't get away with it again. He can't get away with it.
Because we've had better managers who have got sacked for nowhere near these bad results. This is relegation form results, man.
But if I can ask you, Iggy, what is the point of keeping him?
Listen, guys, I don't have a problem. I just don't see now. If I hope we carry on Europa for obvious reason, because I think it keeps a level and even the most minimalistic interest in our season still there. All right. I hope that we do get through. But in the event that we weren't to go through against AZ Alkmaar, may I add as well, 2 teams, all right? The fact that we're now worried about that second leg because we didn't get anything out of the first leg tells you all you need to know, all right? It tells you everything you need to know. And for me, to get rid of him after we go out of that, when you've got jack shit to play for, we've got no Europa to play for, we've got nothing. In the league, is literally, if the interest was 0.01 interest, you'll go to 0 interest. You're like, what's that? Now you're getting rid. Now everyone's bolted out. Now you want to lock the gates. I don't get it. For me, after that, I wouldn't give a shit if he stays or goes between now and the end of the season. It doesn't. For me,
Scott Mullins brought him in. This is the most important appointment that anyone can make in a football club. Is bringing in the manager. When you look at how they didn't pay the 17 million that I read about that finally wanted for Slot and his team is incredible. You know, when you think that we spent 47 million on Johnson and they wouldn't pay Finu 17 million for Slot, it's madness, complete madness. But I think Munn has been brought in, and his first big decision is to bring Ange in. Now, Munn must be supporting Ange and protecting him. If I was Levy, you get rid of Ange, you get rid of Munn, because if this is the level of Munn's judgment,
You can't trust him again, can you, Ian?
You cannot trust him again. And he is chief of football operations. I mean, what confidence does that give you? So,
well, isn't there stirrings? Apparently, a senior person in the hierarchy is being shoveled out the door.
That's
why. Yeah, there was something online today. There was something online today. A director or I think it might be Munn, you know.
The guy that knows nothing about football, being a football director.
I read it was
last in, first out, isn't it?
Could be either of them. Listen, Iggy, I completely agree with you, right, to an extent. But the way that I look at this is that what I would do, and I'm not a football director, I'm not a chairman or whatever, but if we go out on Thursday, sacking him the next day does 2 things. It plants a seed in potential replacements in the summer, and it lets people know that we're looking for a manager, right? Whereas sacking him in the summer or after the season's over, other people might already be tapped up, contracted or whatever, renewing. And it also allows Levy and co to just put the feelers out there, right? Put the feelers out there before the summer. Because one of the things I hate about this club, not just with players, but with managers in years gone by as well, we always seem to do things at the last minute. If we're going to do something, we need to do it fast. We need to do it quick at the beginning of the summer so that any potential manager that comes in has time to assess his squad, use the summer, friendlies, etc., to see what he needs, see what he who wants to keep, etc., who can go. That's why I would do it sooner rather than later, to start that ball rolling. But I completely agree with you on the flip side. Getting rid of him, it doesn't really matter because the season's dead and buried. So what's the point? But that's the only reason I would just
to get rid of him, right? We would obviously hire Mason to the end of the season. You can't see anything different. There, really.
Absolutely,
It's a similar sort of thing. So at that point, the only way. By the way, I'm not in disagreement in sacking the geezer. I said a few months ago to get rid of him. It's not like I'm against the idea now. I just think the timing of it all would be. But having said that, with Mason coming in, the very least I would want to see between now and the end of the season, if that were the case, is to see players like Mikey Moore, who got missing again, and players like Archie Gray, who's been. But I'd want to see. Evaluate players and see them for what they are if they're worth keeping in the squad for next season. Players that we still, listen, I'm probably going to get pelted saying no, these players are shit. They're not good enough for this team and they should be gone anyway. Blah 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 blah. Okay, fine, but then the Deadwood, I don't want to see him in the team again. Make a decision on them. Say, look, these guys are not good for Tottenham Hotspur. Don't see him in the team. So at that point, I would try and look for in the youngsters that we have, even in the academies, to give them game time, to give them Premiership experience. And I don't care if we lose all our remaining games after that. But to see players that we can evaluate and say, do you know what, we can bring that guy through. Give Scarlett a more Premiership experience. Berg will continue to play him and play one or two others in the fringes of the squad. Get them the time because they would benefit if you are really going to have them part of the team next season. And players that don't want to be in this club anymore, and I think there's one or two that even played yesterday that do not want to be in this club. There's no point carrying on playing them because they're not going to be part of it. Start ironing them out. Say, see you later. And Mason, who's been around that all season, he would know. He would know who doesn't want to be there. At least he would know that.
That's right. Because, you take last season. Romero and Van der Ven were out after the Chelsea game. Why didn't they give Phillips a run? I didn't understand that. They ended up not playing him, keeping him on the bench, and spending £21 million on Dragerson. They'd have given Phillips half a dozen games at that stage. They've just brought him in at the beginning of the season. Give the guy a go, see if he's any good. If he's not good, then you sell him. He cost us $2 million. We're going to get the money back, probably with some sort of profit. But see, and if he does the job, you've got another centre back that you bought that's come through. What is he, 19, 20 years old? You don't have to go out and buy Dragerson. That money could have been spent on someone else. So
he just doesn't. He doesn't.
There's no thought, Lee. There's no thought. When we're talking about get rid of Ange, or if Ange is kept to the end of the season, start putting feelers out. If there was a strategy, if there was a long-term plan, if we knew the sort of manager, like the way Ajax structure their club, they have a set way of playing. They keep that way of playing right the way from the academy through to the first team. They know the sort of manager that they want to bring in. So if once things start going wrong with the manager, they've already got an idea who else will fit into that niche that they want them for. But there's just no clue. It's like from Pot,
If it's today and
to Pot, so that's right. So Jose, onto Nuno, onto Conte, onto Ange. So many different styles of football. There is just no cohesion. There's nothing. And that's because we've got owners who don't understand the game and aren't interested in the long-term planning at this club. If only we had owners that cared, that brought in an expert who could say, right, let's plan the next 5 to 10 years. I know there are curveballs. I know things don't work exactly. You know, that's in a perfect world. But if you've got a blueprint of what you want to achieve, you might veer off slightly, but you're not going to veer off.
They've achieved
tangent the way that we do every single 2 years.
Ian,
But this is the
They've
issue,
achieved-
Ian. This is
guys,
the
they've
issue.
achieved.
So-
Go on.
I was just going to say, this is the issue. It's almost like the club do have a plan, but Ange is not the man to execute that plan, right? So I firmly believe that the club have bought all of these youngsters for progression, whether that's to just get them in, buy them, give them game time and sell them on, like we've done in the past, or to actually progress them and build them up into a team. I get that, but I don't think Ange is the guy for that. Ange just wants ready-made players. That's what he wants for his so-called system. It doesn't work when you have to teach it to youngsters that haven't got the experience. And Ian, you're going to hate me for saying this, right? I know how much you're going to hate me for saying this, but the proof is in Archie Gray, and I'll tell you why. Because now that Van der Ven and Romero are back, and all of our midfielders are fit, that kid is not going to get a single minute until the end of the game. You might get a cameo here and there. He's not going to get a single minute otherwise. And that shows you how much of a two-faced person Ange is, because when he plays him, he gives him all the praise. He's so young, he does this, that, and the other. If he's that good, then he should be getting in that team week in, week out. We won't see him now for the rest of the season as long as everyone stays fit. It's all necessity.
Yeah,
He only plays these people through
Guys, there's no plan. There is no plan. Look, this was the plan 10 years ago, right? This was the plan. They've got it. Right? This was the plan. The training ground, hotels, they've got it. Now we're going into the next phase of their plan, which is hotels, skyscrapers, luxury apartments. And then once that's complete, the next phase will be that dark area, that shaded area. They're going to gentrify the area and turn it into like a fake Wembley, box parky, retail, leisure, tourism, commercial business venture, right? That's where it's going. And then the NFL will come in, the Hotspur Hurricanes, the ice hockey. That's where they want to take it. You, me, everyone in the chat, you'll be out. You'll be priced out. You won't be able to afford £200 a match day ticket. We'll all be priced out. This is where they're taking it. They don't give a shit about the fans. They don't give a shit about football. And they don't have a plan, because you cannot be fourth on this list, right? You can't be fourth on this list of match day earning revenue with a fourth or fifth highest charging fan base, right? As customers, we pay the fifth highest prices in world football. You can't have all those financial metrics, all this infrastructure, all this development, and then have the most tightest wage bill you've ever seen, right? The whole point of being this big superpower club is to say we're going to pay for the biggest, the best, and the brightest. We're going to track Goldman Sachs pay the highest wages. Do you know why? Because they want the best. You think of Michelin star restaurants. They pay the best wages for the best sommelier, the best chefs. Why? Because they want the best. The whole point of being the best is so you can pay the highest and get the best in. We've got the financials and the infrastructure of the best, and we pay peanuts. And then when we get monkeys on the pitch, we wonder why it fails. And then people want to defend Ange, who's part of this, who's accepted.
Let me add, while I was on the stadium
Munn,
tour,
Lange, Lubo, I said it before. Levy, Munn, Lange, Pange, Spange, Mason, and they've all got to. The whole thing needs a reset.
let me add,
They don't want it. They don't want it, man. They don't want it.
On the stadium tour, we went into the NFL dressing room in the West Stand. They've got two, one in the West Stand.
Wait, I saw you. I saw you with Aussie Ardealers, mate. We saw you with Aussie. Don't you worry.
And
We saw
move
you.
Aussie in. No question.
We
I'd
saw
take
you
the
with
job.
Aussie Ardealers.
Me and Aussie for the next 10, 11 games, definitely.
I don't know about a high line. You'd see a space line. Like
Well, I've got to tell you something. No, listen, we've been having a chat. Firstly, we're playing Mickey at the back and 9 forwards. We're deciding whether to play Vicario or 10 forwards. Archie's captain. We'll do a lot better than we're doing now, I've got to tell you. But joking aside, they were talking about the NFL. Spurs did a deal to have 2 games per year with the NFL. That deal was for 10 years. That has now been extended indefinitely, and they're hoping to get one of the teams from the NFL to come across and play their whole season at Tottenham.
You laugh at me when I talk about the Hotspur Hurricanes and the Tottenham Tornadoes. You don't laugh at me. I'm serious. We are going to have an NFL franchise. The Hotspur Hurricanes is real, and Harry Kane will come back and play quarterback.
The Levy lovers.
The Levy Lizards.
I think
It's going to happen.
listen,
It's going to happen. I'm not joking, by the way. It's going to happen.
I'll report with the NFL and all of that stuff will only get stronger and stronger. There's no two ways about that. I think there's going to be more to it, and I think we'll strike up even more agreements. Because it's guys, you can say whatever you want about the football, but the actual stadium itself, and it's an absolute gem, and I can see a lot more collaborations happening in the future. It doesn't benefit the fucking team one little bit, which is probably the most annoying part. It is the most annoying part, because that's what was led to believe. We was all on board of having all these things happening at the stadium for as long. It benefited the footballing side of things, which clearly hasn't happened.
That was the second time I've done this stadium tour. I did one about 5 years ago, and it's an amazing stadium. It's absolutely superb. I mean, those
are the games. Those NFL games are the one we need to target for protests and stuff.
Spurs take 5 times more per match on the NFL. So if you've got 2 NFL games, that's 10 Premier League games, same money. That's half a season.
Lubo. I went to a rugby game at Spurs a year ago. My friend's son plays rugby for Saracens, the kids. He says, Stell, I've got tickets. Do you fancy coming? And I said, all right, I'm not paying though. He goes, no, it's on us. We've got a bunch of tickets. I said, all right, I'll come see what it's like. So I've gone there. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Queues and queues.
They were picking the ball up. They were tackling each other. It was this weird sport that I didn't know about.
Tactics.
They're doing scrums, and I was there. I've never seen so much beer being drunk. Rugby fans, they drink, right? They drink. And they're allowed to take their beers into the terraces. We're not. And I said, how come you're allowed to take the beers in? It's a different crowd. It's a middle class, upper class crowd. Their behavior is different. So they trust them. So they're in the terraces, all of them with beers. I'm like, this is amazing. We can't do this. The pints of beer were £8 and £9. I said to my mate, we don't pay that. He's like, really? Mate, he's put it up by £2-3. The food up by £3-4.
Sure.
So I thought to myself, hold on a minute. Not only is he getting this crowd in, he's whacked up the prices on them as well. They're loving it because they've all turned up in Mercedes and Range Rovers, different crowd to the football fan. So I called up my mate who goes to the NFL. I said, you know, when you went to the NFL game at Spurs, do you remember how much a beer was? They paid even more than the rugby lot. So he's rinsing the rugby lot, fleecing the NFL lot, and we're complaining about a 50p price hike. Levy is rinsing it. And wait, Ian, this was the killer. Right? This is when I knew this club is fucked. Michael from Poland goes to me, Stel, are we allowed to take bags into the stadium? I said, I've seen people do bag checks. Yeah, I think you are, but nothing too big. No, it's just a rucksack to put my jacket in case it rains. I said, yeah, if it's just a jacket, I think you'll be all right. We got to the door. They wouldn't let him. I said, mate, I can fold this rucksack and like put it under my jumper. Like, you're gonna say no. Like, no. I'm looking around. There's other people with bags slightly smaller. He lets see-through Spurs bags from the shop, which were bigger than the rucksack. They can go in, right? You can take that in because you spent money in the shop. If you come with a rucksack and a jacket in it, no, this is ridiculous. So we had to go downstairs, walk to the back, in the car park somewhere to a bag drop. Listen to what he does. You're not allowed to bring a bag on site. But what I'll do is I will store it for you on the same site for 10 quid a bag. And let's accuse of people paying £10 on the same site. This guy, I hate him. JP was laughing like, JP, I feel disgusted because I told Michael and his brother it's all right. Now they've got to pay 20 quid. They've got a bag each. You can't bring a bag on site. But if you do bring it on site, you can pay for me to keep it on site for you. Guys, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I
must tell you something still, for the Euros in 2028, which the UK has got, the only two grounds that have been put forward and accepted for the Euros are Wembley and our ground. The only two.
There you go. We've got a couple of super chats. Let me quickly do them before I miss them. Dietrich Kane, big up to you. He says, I'm here to celebrate AC Milan's downfall. Forza Inter. Dietrich, where have you been for the last 3 months with these comments? You've been, Iggy, do you want to say anything?
Do you know what? I must not insult the guy.
Leave it. Language Angels, channel member, big up to you. Managers aren't taking Levy's calls anymore. They'll have to pay well over the odds to get a decent manager to consider us. Too many pounds for Levy's taste. Listen, a few people have said that, Language Angels. John Lee, big up to you. Panel, I have questions for you. If Ange is sacked, who do you want to come and manage our club and sacrifice his career? We are going to get onto that a bit later on, so I will come back to this, John. And big up to Ed Extel, correct. The club is nothing more than a financial instrument for Levy. Listen, I think so. I've been saying it for years. You know what? People laughed at me 6-7 years ago where I said Levy out, ENIC out. And now there's so many more fans who are on board with it. When I say we are going to become an NFL franchise, people laugh at me. In 5 years' time, I'm going to clip this and come back to it. I think he's going to try and get rid of us, you know. I think he's got rid of the older, the what do you call it? It's not the vets.
Yeah, that's the plan, isn't it?
Not the vets, what they call the older fans, the senior citizens. He's getting rid of them. The young kids, they can't afford to go Spurs. Teenagers can't afford to go Spurs. Unless mum and dad have got money in their pocket, they can't afford to go Spurs. So they'll be squeezed out. That leaves us. I've got my limits, man. You know, if I start paying 80, 90 quid per game, I'm done. I'm not paying that per game. I mean, I don't even go now. I sell my tickets, but...
Football shirts, 130 quid.
Man, isn't it?
To buy a football shirt
half
is
price.
£130. And that's
£130.
without adding the badges, that's without adding the name and number and all these little things that the add-ons that cost, you know, to get it. £130 for a football jersey, man.
Iggy, I went on a Real Madrid stadium tour. I went over with my football club about 15 years ago, and we went on end of season tours, and we did. This one was Madrid, the stadium tour. The shirts then were £130.
Yeah, it's the thing is the club shop's packed. It's absolutely packed. You know,
and people ask why people are going to China to buy those shirts. Honestly.
Look,
I'll say it.
What they're looking for with the NFL,
15 quid.
What they were saying today about the NFL was about bringing a club, and they mentioned, is it the Jacksonville team, the team that Khan, who owns
Jacksonville
Jaguars, because Khan wanted to buy Wembley years ago, didn't he? To bring across, because he's the owner for Jacksonville Jaguars. To bring them across, and it was mentioned today, maybe they will be the NFL team that come across and play at Tottenham. You know, they'll play 8 home games, they'll play two weekends running 4 times a season. So they were saying they're literally over in the country for 28, 30 days for the season, and that's how they're talking it would work. So. We'll see. This is obviously the aim that they're trying to get investment in, to buy to build the hotel, and B, to renovate Whiteweb's Park that they bought primarily for an NFL training ground and also for the ladies' football pitches for training. So this is where they're up to. They haven't got the money yet for the investment. I'm hoping that they sell, or maybe someone like Staveley comes in with investment from Asia, wherever, Arabia, Saudi or Qatar, and they buy 25%. The way that Ratcliffe and Ineos have bought 25% at United with a view to increasing the shareholding year by year, and that way, hopefully, Enid will go. Because without them going back to what you said about when is enough still on 2 occasions, micro, yes, definitely with Ange, and macro 100% with Enid, because you can get rid of Ange, you can bring Iriola in, you can bring Angelotti in. They're not going to get higher probably than 4th. That's the ceiling. But if we want to compete, and as we should be competing, I walked around that ground today. The ground's amazing. A ground like that, you should have, if you're charging fans the highest prices, you should have the best players out there.
That's a Real Madrid, Barcelona, that type of ground, isn't it?
It's an amazing ground. I mean, you call out, and they got everybody to shout goal, and you can hear the acoustics carrying on going around the ground. It's incredible. It's the whole thing, the way
no one denies the stadium's amazing, the training ground's amazing, financially
they brought in the sound team from U2 to help with the acoustics when they were.
The thing is, no one cares anymore. Like fans, the novelty's worn off because if the football's crap, no one cares. Like when I go to the stadium, I don't have any emotion for the stadium anymore. I was excited when it opened. Now I'm like, what's the point of it? Don't do nothing. It's
as I say, as I've said on this show before. Anybody want to come on and say, "Oh, what a great ground we got! We got this, we got that." That's fantastic. Do the stadium tour like I did today. Happy to have a conversation with you about it. But when I go on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'm there to see the team. And that team has got to be financially backed, to the same level that as fans, we are being asked to cough up. We're paying the highest prices. We want the best players put out there. You go and pay the highest prices in a Michelin restaurant, you don't expect a Happy Meal from McDonald's. And that's what we're getting at the moment.
That's why I'll also say to Iggy, by sacking him today, tomorrow, yesterday, the whole mood would change at that club.
I think there'd be chaos if you went in and took him out tomorrow and said, "There's your P45," 2 days before the biggest game of the season. I think that it would just be too unsettling.
That's why I think we should have done it last Friday.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the performance in Holland was just abject. For players who have had a week, 7-8 days off,
8 days rest,
to recuperate, and then to turn out in what is the biggest. The whole season depends on these 2 games, and to play the way they played, with a lack of energy, intensity, fire, determination, no drive. There was no will. There was nothing.
Do you know what, guys? Do you know what? I was going to say let's talk about the Bournemouth game, but we did it for 2-3 hours yesterday. Let's talk about that game coming up, right? Let's talk about that game coming up. So we've got AZ Alkmaar in what is now the biggest game of the season. We've got this brilliant habit of these biggest games of the seasons of absolutely shitting the bed and not turning up. By the way, anyone who is going to be watching, we're doing a watch along on Big Up, our Big Up channel. Come check that out. And then straight afterwards, or 30 minutes afterwards, we'll be live on YouTube for the post-match show with the panel. So we'll be doing about 4 hours of show, maybe 5. Long Thursday. So come check us out on Big Up and then on YouTube. Look, this game is do or die. AZ Alkmaar, they don't need to win. They need a draw. They get a draw, they're through. If they score, then we need 2 goals, and then we're thinking about extra time, penalty, and whatnot. There was news saying that the hierarchy described the defeat to AZ Alkmaar as unacceptable. Ange's future as manager is hanging by a thread. Okay, again, this is just random news. God knows if it's true, but it was out there. Surely even the most staunchest of Ange lovers and people on the board that defend him, if Ange loses, surely it's curtains for him. And listen, I said would be AZ Alkmaar. But when we did a show a couple of weeks ago and we showed all the draws, I said, look, for me, we'll beat AZ Alkmaar. Then the quarterfinals, I think we'll just get through. The semis, I think we're out. So I said we're not going to win the Europa. I thought the semi-finals is where we're going to get to. After watching the AZ Alkmaar game and then watching yesterday, I'm 50-50 now. I'm 50. I still think we're favourites on the basis we're at home and Romero and Van der Ven are now back and they've been given some minutes, so I'm sure they'll be a bit more fresher. Bentancur suspended, which I don't think is a bad thing because he's not been that good in the last 2 games. Odebert's back. You've got Sonny back. Solanke's back. I think we still go through, but where I was confident before, listen, I'm 50-50 now, guys. I'm because for me, if AZ come and they say, do you know what, we're just going to shut shop, low block you, I think we're in trouble. If they come and they give it a go, I think that's what we want. But they were quite good against us going forward. I was really surprised by how much they improved. And Vicario saved us. Listen, he saved us against Bournemouth. He saved us against AZ Alkmaar. In fact, Vicario is probably our most important player right now. He's the one keeping us in games, which is what Iggy was saying all season. Stop going after Vicario, man. You know what I mean? Iggy's proven right on that one. What do you see happening this Thursday? Because it is a must win. It is literally the season is done if we don't win. But at the same time, do you trust Spurs? You know, I'm 50-50 now. I've lost a lot of confidence with this one.
Still, let me go back. Matthew Jackson. Matthew's just put about, we lost with Romero and Van der Ven against Palace, against Ipswich. Van der Ven was
he's right. He's right.
But you can pick out these games. The team is better with those 2 at the back. And that's that, and the better players you've got in the team, theoretically, really, is the more chance you've got of winning a game.
Ian, Romero was shocking against Bournemouth.
No, hang on one sec. Romero had a really
only just come back though.
He had a poor first half, but the guy has played 7 minutes in 4 months.
I know.
Now, no one expects him to play a square pass to their centre forward in the first 15 seconds, but it happens. He looked a lot better in the first 15, the second half before he got hooked. He'll be better on Thursday. He'll be better. That's why
I used to think like that, but then I look at Vicario. He comes back straight away, boom, on fire. Spence doesn't always.
It's a goalkeeper. It's a goalkeeper. It's a different.
He's a footballer. He's a footballer. He's got to be focused. He's got to get things right.
Look, for me, it's a mindset. All right, it's a mindset. I don't expect Romero perhaps to have a wonderful game in the entirety of the game. I don't expect him to start a game with a limp dick in the first 5 minutes. I'm sorry, man. I don't. For me, he started off limp. He gave an opportunity away after 17 seconds. We didn't read the situation where they were going high press. We should be able to beat the first press, knowing that they're going to defend outside your area. Beat it. You have to have solutions to situations that you are faced upon. For me, Liam, when you start a game in the way that he did, he ain't started it with a 100% focused mentality. I can understand him perhaps doing that 60, 70 minutes and thinking he's tired. He's now starting to make mistakes, bring him off. I get that. I would say, fair enough. But to start a game like that is, for me, is something's fundamentally not. He hasn't come on with full of bins. Now, for me to defend Romero now and Van der Ven and people like that, listen, for me, they're good players. They are good players. There's no 2 ways about that. For me, it's the context that's wrong. The context for our team has been wrong all season. That's all the manager. He's provided the context. These guys are the protagonists, if you like, and they have to be put in the best conditions to do well. Is playing Romero 50, 60 yards away from goal, from defending our goal, that is, the right thing to do? No, man. Van der Ven perhaps can do it, but we've seen his hamstrings snapping, and Stel said something earlier on that stuck in my mind. You know, the guy's playing Van der Ven. You can see even when he's running now, he's worried. You know, if he's
scared to
sprinting,
sprint.
he's
looked
gonna
like he was scared to
he's
sprint
gonna be
on the
playing. He's gonna feel like that for a little while. He's gonna play with a handbrake on a little bit because he's only just come back. He doesn't want to get injured again. And what context are we providing these guys? Enable them to get the best out of them, to allow them to grow, and then really kick on. And under this manager, the context is all wrong. The way we're set up is completely wrong. It doesn't benefit us. If anything, it does the complete opposite. It hurts us. So how are we not still reading the situation? And still, not only we're not reading the situation, we're pursuing and persisting with the same things that have failed us to this day. I can't get my head around that, man. I can't get my head around pursuing in a road that's led us to nothing but failure. It's led us to a dead-end road, and we continue to back out of that road, rally around, and then go back up that road in the hoping that we find something different than the dead-end road. For me, that is mind-boggling. And look, I'll be very brief. For me, it's how we start the game. If we start the game in the way that we did against Bournemouth, I didn't like our approach in the first 5-10 minutes. I think it was awful. I don't think you can start a game like that. Even more so if you're trailing 1-0, which is what we're doing. For me, we have to start very strong first 25 minutes, get the goal to really get the place roaring, up and roaring, and get the absolute, you know, it's Thursday night under the lights. You need to get the crowd going. You can't start the game the way we did against Bournemouth. If we can do that, first 20 minutes, start really strong, get at them early, get the early goal, get that goal. You level the tie straight away, and then it's there for the taking. Then maybe we got a chance. If we don't, and we start nervy, start giving chances away, and they get the goal, then you're 2-0 down. We ain't recovering that game.
Iggy,
Not the way we are now. I know
Iggy,
we drew 2 against Bournemouth, but that ain't gonna keep on happening when you're going 2-0 down.
well, I must tell you something. Bournemouth was the first time we'd come back from 2 down. We were 2 down to Ipswich. We were 2 down to Newcastle. Didn't pull it back. We pulled it back. We pulled it back yesterday.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Big
How
help from
lucky.
Kepa.
How
Big
lucky
help
were
from
we?
Kepa.
If you look at the Premier League as a gauge in terms of how Spurs are, the system's horrendous. We're wide open every single game. We have got, against the top 10 teams this season, we've got 5 points from 13. 5 from 13. Against the lower half teams, we've got 29 from 15 games. So it's like not so much, not totally flat track bullies, but against the top teams, we're nowhere, which is why we are where we are. But against the lower teams, and for all their pressure, I mean, we were dreadful. That was, for me, that was a low point of the season against Alkmaar. It was just horrendous. For me, that was worse than Tamworth. It was so bad. But they only scored because Bergvall sliced the ball into his own net. So I'm confident. I am confident that we will win. That was the only goal they scored. They didn't score. We scored for them.
But thanks to our goalkeeper.
No, fine. But that's what he's there to. That's what he's there to do, Iggy. So
the defenders are there to defend. Midfielders are there to create. The strikers are there to score.
Let's try and be confident for Thursday. While we're in it, we've got a chance. And
when you
let's
say
try and
be
confident, you have to.
Oh.
When you say let's try and be confident going in,
I'm 50,
you know
50.
my mindset, man. I'm always want to be optimistic, but you have to also have a background of games that bring you to a game and say,
Something
you know what, we're going there and not confident that we're not arrogant, but at least assured, going there with with a straight back and say, yeah.
Okay.
When does this team giving us that belief to go into a game with a straight back to say we can go and do this?
Iggy, my logic is based on what I've just given you regarding top half and bottom half of Spurs' performances this season, which have been abject. It's been a shocking season, been the worst season probably for about 20 years. But we're virtually averaging 2 points a game against the lower half, and I would expect Alkmaar to be a lower half team in our Premier League.
But Ian, we
Which I
haven't done
agree.
well against any European clubs though this season, have we? Really? We haven't played well against any European clubs that we've come across so far.
Well, you don't need to play that well sometimes to win, JP. You just got to stick the ball in the nets. So, how often have we played
How
well?
can you be confident?
JP, how often have we played well in the league and we got 29 points from 15 games against the bottom half? We've hardly played well at all. In fact, we played far better against teams like City and Villa than we have against Leicester, Palace, Ipswich,
Ian,
Southampton.
That's because they
Ian,
play open. That's
can
because
I-
they play open, right?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think we're going to win the Europa Cup?
No, I can't see it.
Right.
But-
So don't tell me to be confident.
No, I'm confident.
How can we be confident if we know we're not going to win this competition?
No,
Anyone can knock us out.
Yeah, I think
talking
it
about-
means
he's
confident
confident about
against
Thursday.
AZ Alkmaar.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
but-
about confident on Thursday still. I'm not talking about the cup. I'm talking about Thursday.
You know what? Okay, I was like that. I was on this show saying we're going to beat AZ. I'm not worried about them. We'll beat them. We'll beat them. Then we lost, and people in the comments and people on live stream say, "Still, you said still," and I said, "Look, I know what I said. I still stick by. We're not winning the Europa Cup. I firmly believe that." I was stunned by the AZ game, not because they beat us. How fucking shit we were. We were. It was shocking, man. Was it against AZ? We took that dumbass free kick where Madison. And it was against AZ. Two most experienced players in the team, and they can't take a free kick like that. Lubo. I was there against Bournemouth. Okay, Bournemouth are good, right? They've got a good manager, so maybe there's an argument to say, yeah, but Bournemouth are good. But if AZ come with that same strategy of we'll press Vicario, but we'll drop off when the centre backs got the ball, we don't have any answers. And their wingers were good, and they're going to be good again. And the guy that went off injured in the first 5 minutes, he's their best player. If he's back, that's another problem. Troy Parrott was causing us issues. He wants it. So this is why I'm 50-50 now, Ian. After watching that and just deeping it, the only reason I think we might win is because we're at home. But take away us being at home, I think this is a difficult game all of a sudden. I really do. So that's why I'm not confident. That's why I don't have confidence. I'm on the fence, guys, with this game now. I wasn't on the fence. Now I am.
When I was asked before the first leg, do I think we'll get through? I said, yeah, I think we'll sneak through. I think it'll be the finest of margins.
That's what JP said. He said we're going to jam it.
Yeah, but I do think we'll get through. And after that, the next game is not for another 4 weeks. Who knows where we'll be in 4 weeks' time?
Lee, are you confident we're going to go through?
I think
No,
the only
not at
thing
all.
I'd say, Ian, is while you were saying, obviously, we got a draw against Bournemouth, we came and pulled it back and stuff, right? Fabulous that we came and pulled it back, but I don't think we pulled it back. We got a jammy goal from a cross that screwed up, and Kepa made a stupid mistake.
But you know what, JP? We
did get back in that game.
I saw Vicario make 2 wonder saves. I saw them hit the post. I saw them take a shot if they squared it, it would have been in. I saw them score an unbelievable goal. It was a phenomenal goal they scored, which was offside.
Still, we could have been 4-0 down quite easily. Bournemouth deserved to win that game.
Man United could have easily scored 2 or 3 when we played them as well. They cocked up.
You know what? Bournemouth were playing well. We were playing shit. We managed to get back. So that, for me, that gave me something to hang on to. The fact that for the first time this season,
of course,
we pulled back. You know, I stood at Palace, and I remember looking at my watch early in the season. We're 1-0 down. The clock's ticking towards 70 minutes, and the guy turned around to me and he said, "What do you reckon?" And I said, "We're not going to score in a month for Sundays." We just didn't look like scoring. Ipswich, we got back to 2-1. We didn't look like equalising. The same with Newcastle. We had all the possession second half. It was, it was better than the first half that was again abysmal, but we never looked like scoring. Doesn't matter how you get the goals, as long as you get back. Those to come back from 2 down, however badly we played, and we were poor for most of the game yesterday, we got back into it. We got back in.
The problem with that, Ian, is though, is let's be honest about it, right? The situation where we got back into it, was let's call it a fluky goal, because it was a fluky goal, and Son buying a penalty. don't happen every match. They're not constants. It's not like we got back into the game, took all the possession, playing around and scored 2 goals. That would have been fantastic. That's getting back into the game. What we were lucky, right? And that doesn't happen. You know, your luck runs out. The problem with the game, I'm on the fence about the game on Thursday, right? Because the way that I see it is the longer the game goes on where we don't score, the more the harder it's going to be for us, and the more likely AZ will hit us on the break or something like that, right? And nick a goal where they need to and then put it to bed. Because the more pressure we get put under, the more minutes that go by, we're going to be just trying anything and everything. And there's going to be no cohesion to it. It's just going to be lobbing balls here, then everywhere. We're just going to get desperate. That's what so if anything, the first 15, 20 minutes of that match, we need to come out, control the game, pass the ball, you know, hope they don't just sit back in a low block, because otherwise, the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get, if I'm honest. And just to add to that as well, this whole Romero just come back, let's not forget, most people, including me, think that this is probably the worst season he's had for us. He hasn't played well all season. So for me, I wouldn't even start him on Thursday night. If you really want to bring Van der Ven back, bring him back. I'd start Danso next to him. I would not start him if you know the week after he's already got one foot on the plane.
Squad. Yeah,
he's already got one foot on the plane. There's no way that he's going to want to get injured on a Thursday night just before he's going. Right? Absolutely no way. I would not even put him on the pitch. I'd put Danso in there.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Guys,
the
listen.
other thing, Ian, sorry, Lee, you were just talking about fast starts, right? We haven't had a fast start for I don't know how long. Again, Bournemouth, they could have scored early on. Ipswich could have had 3 goals.
Yeah. Southampton, JP, was the last fast start we had.
Do you know what gets me, boys? That we don't smell situations. We don't. You're in the game and you're seeing that these guys are literally outside your box. We try to play from the back. We don't sniff out situation. We don't see dangers. We just carry on in a robotic way, go the way we've been talking about how we're going to play. And we're not going to change it. It's like you see the opposition coming at you, change it. Beat that first press. Think a ball over the top. And do that for 10 minutes until then they back off a little bit. Then you play from the back. You have to adjust the situations. Yeah, it's like you're presented with an issue and you've got to deal with it day on. But you think, you know what? I'm not changing myself because you're putting it here. Like, you know, you're in my face. I'm going to carry on as if you're 50 meters away from me. You don't do that, would you? If someone's in your face, it's not the same as someone seeing someone 50 meters away. You will respond differently to both situations. Then why are we doing that on the pitch? I don't understand. So it's just mind-boggling. It's so basic. This is Sunday League football level.
The players need to take ownership on the pitch, don't they?
They're not allowed to, JP.
The manager tells them they're
not
doing what the manager says.
Their managers are egomaniacs these days. Have you noticed football has turned and it's gone all about the managers now? It's no longer about the players. The players are the main protagonists, not the managers. The managers are important people in football. Of course they are, but they're not centre stage in the way the players are. The players should be allowed to adjust, to be proactively dealing with situations which they're not allowed to think outside the box. Everyone's got to do their own little homework, their own little bit, and that's it. They don't have the freedoms anymore to pick at the ball and make something happen. Somebody used to say, make something happen. As soon as the guy does something that's outside of what the manager's requested, he'll be hooked off. It'll be like you'll never see him on the pitch again, because that's instead of a robotic way of playing football these days. They don't have the freedom anymore. It's certainly not at the level that we're watching football at.
Do you know what? I watched the Bournemouth game, and I did an analysis show earlier on today. The first goal, I can't remember the last time a player was allowed to run 65 yards unchallenged. I use the word run because when you're running with the ball, it means you go unchallenged. The difference between running and dribbling is one is unchallenged. The other one is when someone tries to tackle you and you have to take them on. That's now dribbling. That's the only difference. One's opposed, the other one's unopposed. He ran 60 yards down the wing of the Spurs pitch, unchallenged. And when I looked at the video footage, Johnson started running and gave up. Just let him go. And I thought, you lazy swine. And Porro, who was the nearest player, rather than trying to get across, he runs parallel. I'm thinking, why has nobody gone to the player? Not one player went to the ball. Go back and watch the video. It's the most bizarre thing. It's almost as if, go on, then cross it. What are you going to do? He only puts in the greatest cross of his life.
That
right?
was a cross, wasn't it? That was a cross.
Phenomenal cross. And then it just gets worse. Before the cross comes in, Romero's marking his player. Danzo's marking his player. Spence is marking his player. And Vicario's off his line. So you're thinking, do you know what? If the cross comes in, at least each player is marked. And Vicario could come out and try and claim the ball. Do you know what happens as soon as the cross comes in? Romero loses his man, switches off. Spence completely switches off, and the guy just runs behind him for the goal. Vicario comes. I'm not going to come anymore, and just stops. It's almost as if we are the most football intelligence lacking group of players you've ever seen when it comes to defending. And I thought, do you know what? I criticise Ange a lot for not teaching defending enough. The coach is not working on defensive structures and decision making. But you know what? There comes a point where you've got to say, can these defenders actually defend? Why has Johnson stopped running? Why has Porro not gone across? Why has Vicario not thought, do you know what? I'll take control. Why has Romero switched off? Why is Spence, who's been one of our best players, he switched off? You watch it, Lee, do you know what it's like watching? You know when you watch the under-8s play football and then there's a counter-attack and they all go running back, but they don't know where they're running, they just run. It's literally like watching under-8s defend. And then when the cross comes in, they just stop and freeze because they're going to wait and see what everyone else does. I couldn't fucking believe my eyes. And then the second goal they scored, Danzo steps into the number 6 role because the ball gets played into the 6 and there's no one there. There's no one there. It's Donut FC. Madison's over there. Pape Sarr's in the 10. Bergvall's gone out wide. There's no one in the fucking middle. I don't blame Danzo. Because he's thinking like a defender, right? Anyone who's defended, your instinct is defend. And he's gone in. He's stepped forward. He did the same against Ipswich. He stepped forward. He fell on his ass. And then, yeah. This time, though, he stepped forward, but the Bournemouth midfielder was just better than him. He sold him. He completely sold him. He changed his body shape and sold him. It was just quality play by the Bournemouth midfielder. I don't blame Danzo. Someone had to step. And he stepped. He got beaten one-on-one. But then where's the pass then played to the striker? Exactly where Danzo was. If there was a 6, that doesn't happen. So for the first goal, I'm thinking, our players are thick. They're just dumb. But then their position, their starting position, that's on Ange. But the second goal, I've seen too many times this season, not playing with a 6 who just holds, like Scott Parker did, like Wanyama did, like even how Højbjerg did, for fuck's sakes. Not playing with a proper 6, like what Declan Rice does for Arsenal, what Rodri does for Man City. Not playing with a 6, it literally fucks us. I don't blame Danzo for that goal. I blame us not playing with a 6. That's on Ange. And you know what, boys? I was watching that and I'm thinking, any team can do this to us. It don't matter. Anyone, Tamworth, Ipswich, AZ, it don't matter. Any team can do this to us.
We don't correct it. It's like I said earlier, it's the context.
It's shocking.
It's the context that's wrong. We keep repeating this stuff over and over again.
Every week, Iggy. Every week.
Would always, have you noticed, guys, the goals that we conceded are always the same. Or don't you always feel that when we conceded a goal, because I've seen this goal before.
They're similar. They're similar. They are.
They're always the same because when you analyze the videos, you analyze to the teams you're going to play, and our position obviously analyze Tottenham, and they know this is how to get them because it's been done over and over again. There's nothing that the opposition does in the way they're set up and the way they're going to hurt us. It's exactly the way the last team did it, and I don't understand how we fail to acknowledge, adjust,
Adjust,
and
counter.
read situations. We just like the context is wrong. So when the context is wrong, you're always going to have these failures, and it's honestly look, like you said, Johnson let the geezer go run past him. He didn't even break it. It didn't break his sweat. Where's the consequences for that? The consequences, they should be like, listen, if you ain't gonna do it, get off the fucking pitch. I'll get someone else to do it, and he'll run it. And if you ain't running your bollocks off to chasing that geezer back, you'll come off the pitch, and I'll get someone else to do it. That is the standards that should be set from any player. If you're not willing to do it, there'll be someone else coming in, and I'll get him to do it. The standards have to be there for every single player to work off the ball, not to allow a player to just run past you without you so much as breaking sweat. But what would happen is we'll see Johnson again in the next week or the following game. There's no the expected standards are not there. They're not there to be held accountable. They're not there. The players are not there to show what to show. Listen, it winds me up because the standards are set by the managers to the players, then the owners to the managers. Everyone's got to have their standards, and the minute you start dropping from that, you're in trouble. We don't acknowledge any shortcomings in our team and in our squad and in the way that we play, and we don't address anything. We don't address absolutely anything.
I don't know these Brighton players. Right, I've heard of the centre back because everyone's been talking about him. Plus, he scored against us when we lost 1-0 at their ground. Husin, the one that Juventus let go, and you told me there was a war at Juventus with the fans.
Juve fans were mad. They were crazy about it when they let him go.
Well, I've never heard of their wing backs' names before. I've heard of Kluivert because he's been on fire this season. Also, his dad's a famous player back in our day. I've heard of Semedo because he's been talked about a lot. Even Nilsson, not too much. Tavernier, not too much. I watched them play. And do you know what? 4 of their players are ex-championship rejects. And the football they were playing, I'm sorry, anyone who doesn't get it, that's what a top coach does.
The context.
It's the coaching, Iggy. He's coached them.
The context.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's the context that you have players with a context. Are their players better than us, man for man? Probably not. Right. Everything works around it.
So this is why I've changed my stance on some of our players. I want to see Bergvall, Gray, Spence, Porro, Bassoon. I want to see these players with a fucking manager that can coach. And then I will make my final decision on them. Because what I'm seeing Iriola do with these bunch of rejects, wasn't there, you know, the guy that ran the whole length of the pitch and put in that amazing cross? Didn't AC Milan let him go, Iggy? You said
Maldini got him in. Maldini got him in from wherever he come from.
Kirkes.
Got into Milan. He got him at Milan and got him to play with the youngsters, the under 21s, I think it was. But he wanted to progress. He was already playing above his years. So he was 17 playing in an under 21s team, I believe it was. And he wanted to then push on to play in the first team football. And they said, no, you're not quite ready. And he was like, no, I am. And he left. He then left Milan to go and pursue football elsewhere. He's getting his opportunities now here at Bournemouth.
It wasn't Kirkes the one from AZ Alkmaar?
I don't know.
I think that's who he played before he went to Bournemouth.
Lee, half of that team are rejects. And Iriola, my God, the wing backs play like wing backs. Can I say the defensive job they did on us?
Yeah, he did. You're right.
Was quality. Some of their tackles and blocks, I dream of seeing Porro and Udogie do that on a regular basis. They did it the whole game. That's been coached. He's coached them. He's developed that. I can see it. I've coached long enough to know when a player's been coached. They've been coached. They're number 9. Is it not number 9? Who's a centre back? Is it the 9? I forgot the name, but Hoisin. What number? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what number he was.
No, he is. I think he's a quality defender. He's only
number 2. He had the 2 on his back.
Lee, I watched him the whole game because everyone talked about him. Mate, so calm and composed and in control. I'm thinking, we're crying out for a centre-back like this. How is he not Spurs? And And we've got Danzo's who is a little bit rash, but I don't blame him. I'm not going to blame the guy. He's just come in and he's doing his best. And I'm thinking, you're such a their attacking play is so much better than ours, man. That goal that got disallowed. Do you know how you know? Do you know how you know?
That was a sweet goal.
When they scored,
That was a sweet goal.
everyone around me, no one moaned, no one screamed. You could feel. Do you know what Spurs fan wanted to do? You could feel it. They wanted to do this.
Clap.
You could feel it. JP, do you know what I mean? You could feel it. They wanted to clap. It was such a class goal. And we're like, fuck. So I want to ask you this. Because earlier on, we had a question from John Lee. If you second, which manager do you want to come to sacrifice their career? And Chris Scorpion said, would Xavi be a good manager for us? I would take Poch back. What do you think about Iriola? Sorry, why am I getting all these? Sorry, let me get these off the screen. Because if that was an audition, I thought
he passed, didn't he? You would say, you know, they look very organised, they look very drilled. The press was fantastic.
Lubo, best pressing team I've seen play Spurs this season, by the way. Their press was on point. They were so organised as a team doing it. Do you know, in fact, sorry to interrupt you, I haven't seen a team this year make us force so many errors on our backline and keeper as much as what I saw in that game. The amount of times we were forced into errors by the press, no team's done it to us that much than this season, than what I saw when we played Bournemouth.
And the problem was when we played it long yesterday, we just lost the ball. I mean, the fact, you know, the crowd were cheering when Vicario was putting it long, but he didn't hit one.
Isn't there a?
He didn't hit Stanky once.
On Bournemouth, based on some stat, I can't remember what stat it is, but aren't they like something like the third or fourth best pressing team in Europe this season in terms of turnovers and stuff like that? I think.
Lee, they're so well organised at doing it. Like, they're so good at it. It's, you know, like when Spurs press, sometimes you think, yeah, that's good. And at times it is good. They're better. They do it better.
But that's the difference between a team that is well organised, right? Where a manager has identified not world-class players, but players that play their role and play it well in their positions. And it works. Everyone has got their job, right? This is the issue with Spurs. We've got 11 people that have basically been told to play a system that isn't conventional, and this is where it's expected to be. I mean, the amount of times yesterday where you see, I can't. You've got the likes of Semenyo and stuff like that for Bournemouth. The last thing you want you do is your fullbacks coming inside when you've got your wingers. Some points when we're playing at the back, they look like they're on the other team's goal 18-yard box, and then when they do turn us over, Porro's completely out of position and Udogi's completely out of position, and you've got Johnson who doesn't want to get back because he's more entitled to playing in the centre, not as a winger, so he doesn't really understand the job and the role, and he's too far away. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, we've got. I thought of this last night. I don't know why it's I thought of it like this, but we've got too many hens, and we're missing the rooster. Right? We're missing the rooster that's picking out his chest and screaming and getting everyone up in the morning and stuff like that. We've just got too many hens that are pecking at the ground, not knowing what's going on. You know, that's the issue, and as I said, I've said the same as you, Sel, that you said a minute ago. I would rather see don't judge any of these players, including the likes of some of the shit ones, until I see a coach that coaches a team and plays the players to their strengths. Because I think that some of these players are just not being played to their strengths, and that's why they're putting in such poor performances.
Lee, there's one or two I have judged though, like Werner, I can't, and Richarlison.
No, he's not even on the list. Not even on the list.
I just had to go that in there. There's a few.
Turn off. End the stream. See you later. No, I agree. That's just a no. There's a couple that I, as far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't be there next season. Davis, get rid of him. Well done, mate, but you're in there too long. Timo, no thanks.
The thing is,
but-
play.
Right, can
Sorry,
I
go
just
on,
say
JP,
something
go on.
quickly
No, no.
because I'm gonna shoot off because I've got to go to Bristol and I've got to leave at 5 in the morning. So if anyone's in Bristol tomorrow,
Sorry
I'll
to
be
hear
out
that,
having
mate.
dinner.
Sorry, JP.
I'll be out having drinks and dinner in Bristol. So come say hello. The question I would ask you back is, I guess to Still, who asked the question, him being such a great manager and the style, I get all of that stuff, right? Being 2-0 up against a crap Tottenham and not winning that game. If that was Ange, we'd be screwing at him.
Yeah, but the keeper played a massive
They've been
hand
up
on that,
the
mate.
same thing against Brighton. Same thing against, was it Wolves or something? So they've got that in them, and they can't seem to be able to lock games out. Right now, maybe the players at Tottenham would be slightly at a different level or whatever. I don't know, but my only question is, if that was Ange right now, we'd be slagging him big time.
JP, if that was every single week and it never got fixed, I would do it. Whereas with Ange, like Iggy said, it's the same thing every single week and it doesn't get repaired. Iriola to me, listen, every manager
I would
makes.
take him. Don't get me wrong. I would take him.
Yeah. Like, look, we ain't going to get an Ancelotti. We're not going to get a Pep. The reality is, who below can we realistically get to this club? And when I look at the options, I think Iriola is the man for us. And someone in the comments said it as well, and I think I said it a few months ago. He just gives me the Poch vibes, man. I think he's at the same age. Do you remember when we got Poch? Poch was in his 40s. Young manager burst onto the scene. He was doing bits with Southampton. They finished 6th or 7th. Iriola, he's burst on the scene. He's doing bits with Bournemouth, 6th, 7th, that kind of. And you think, hold on a minute. It's of that mold, isn't it? And I looked at Iriola's history. He achieved things with low league Spanish clubs that no one's done before. I think he took the team he was at to their first ever semi-final, another team to their second ever semi-final. So there's something there. Is he a winner? Is he a trophy winner? No, he's not proven that, but nor had Poch. At the end of the day, whoever we bring, they're going to need the owners to do something we've not seen before, which we don't think is going to happen regardless. But I'm just thinking what gets us back to Poch levels. That's it, JP. And I think from what I've seen, and he's doing it in the Premier League. He's doing it in the Premier. And by the way, do you know he's had about with Bournemouth, 11,000 seater stadium Bournemouth, and he's had 8 or 9 injuries this season for the last 3-4 months as well. He's had a lot of injuries too. His best centre back was missing, by the way. Is it Zuberiani? Sorry if I butchered his name. He was missing. So it's not like he's playing.
When they played Newcastle, their whole bench was the youth squad. I don't think they had a single first team player on the bench when they played Newcastle.
And they ripped
a month ago.
Yeah, but you're right, JP. You're right. 2-0 up, and you end up drawing 2-2.
But JP, hold on.
If Bournemouth had Vicario, they wouldn't lose that game, man. Or they wouldn't.
No, exactly.
That game.
And I think
true.
this is. Haven't we been just as critical when, like the likes of Forster or Vicario have made mistakes that have led to us losing a game? We haven't pinned that on Ange. We've pinned that on them. Right. As far as I'm concerned, Bournemouth lost that yesterday, not because of how Bournemouth played, because of two stupid mistakes or misjudgments by Kepa. Right. That's not on Iriola. Iriola didn't make him miss that, or didn't make him come out. That's a spare of the moment, judgment call on both of his part. And he's got history, right?
Yeah, but you could say
was he
that
only different at Chelsea?
But you could say that about Spurs 2-0 up at Brighton, who'd lose 3-2. We had to go.
But that weren't from unlucky. That was from shit. That's from shit. The shit tactics and the the whole team. It's not about one individual.
It's always individual errors with us, man. All our goals are individual errors, the positioning and tactics. It's always the same. That's what I'm saying. Every time I see Spurs concede the goal, I'm thinking, I've seen this before. It's the same sort of goals that we concede. The same movements get played against us. And you're thinking, how the fuck are we not reading this situation? It's just, it's mind-boggling. But look, to answer the question, see you later, JP.
Take it easy.
Good night, man. Sleep well.
See you later, JP.
Big up, JP.
to answer your question about the manager's a good manager. He's showing exciting stuff. There's definitely something about him. But for me, still, for me, with the conversation about managers, it's always the same for me. It's the context. If the guy's been coming in, if he's going to come in to try and replicate in the way that he played, has his team playing at Bournemouth, at Spurs, and we're providing the tools and all of that to do so, and give him more backing, providing a scouting network to allow him to go and get the same sort of players. It's the setup. I think a manager's as good as the setup he's got around him. And if we don't provide a manager with that similar sort of setup to allow him to do the best job and take it to another level at Spurs, he's going to fail, man. And I don't want to see a young manager come at Spurs and we fuck him up.
We need someone that can work with youth, though, and he's working with youth. We've got youngsters. Some we've signed, some that are academy, some that are on loan that are going to be coming back, like the Yangs, the Vuskovics. We need someone that can work with young players, and he's proven.
Forget the Romeros, the Vicarios. They'll all leave because they want to achieve.
Yeah, eventually, though. No, Iggy, you're right. And eventually it will become Vuskovic, Phillips, Van der Vens, right? That's it. Is this what I want? No. I'm going by what we've got. And I'm trying to say to myself, with what we've got, what manager suits what we've got? And that's the wrong way to do it. What we should be doing is saying, right, get a manager in and give him what he needs. That's what we want. But this club's never going to fucking do it with Levy. So with what we've got, who's better, Ange or Iriola? I think he might get off to a slow start, just like Poch did. First 3-6 months wasn't great, but then when it clicks, it only goes one way. Whereas Ange, we started well, then it was like this, then it dipped, and this year's just gone off a cliff. You get a little up, then it goes down again. I think he knows how to keep the momentum going. He knows how to keep the train moving.
Still, we've got to get rid of this.
By the way, it's just my view on what I've seen. I could be badly wrong with this, you know.
If Ange stays, we lose all our great kids because he won't play them next year. Just won't play them. We won't have Europe. You'll have 45 odd games during the season instead of 55, 60. When's he going to play them? They'll all go. The Mikey Moores will go. Devines will go. Donnelly will go. It's
Devine. Madness. Is Devine even still with us? Yeah. Has he ever played for Tottenham? Divine.
But you look at what we've got in midfield this season, and you can't poo-poo these kids because the senior professionals this year in midfield have been appalling. We must have the worst midfield in the Premier League.
Do you know what? Iggy said something to me on the phone today, and I didn't think about it yesterday. I wish I did because I would have brought it up and made myself look really intelligent. But Iggy said it today, right? So I've got to give him the credit, haven't I? Because he said it.
Oh, cheers.
After watching, in the words of box office, don't get used to it, yeah? When you look at that game yesterday, it's no surprise that this guy scored 19 goals last season, is it? It's no surprise Solanke scored 19 goals last season when you watch how Bournemouth played yesterday. They sold us him for, is it 50, 60 million? He must be thinking, what the fuck have I done? Unless he's on better wages, like I saw that I got the wages, but I can see now how Solanke got 19 goals last season. I get it. The service and the creativity, I get it. I totally get it. Iggy said that today to me.
He was central, man. Guys, I'll repeat again. It's the context. He was central to everything that Bournemouth create. Think of how many chances they create per game. They did it yesterday. The amount of chances they create for a team that was playing away from home. At home, they create even more. So
Iggy,
when you're
17 shots. Iggy, 17 shots, 8 on target, 2 clear-cut chances. They had almost double the amount of shots. They had double the amount on target. They had 2 clear-cut chances. We had 0, and that was with 20% less possession. 20% less possession. They had 50% more creativity.
Away from home. So what I'm trying to say, so when you as a centre forward, now picture yourself as a centre forward, number 9, and you've got all of that going on around you, man, you're just thinking to yourself, keep them coming, because even if I miss one, and Bournemouth fans will say this, he would to score one. He would have had 3 opportunities. So he's always been that sort of centre forward where he'll get you 2 goals, 4 chances, and so forth, with 5 chances. But because of a team that constantly creates opportunities to score, he was always confident of scoring. Now you take him out of that context and you bring him to ours. And all of a sudden, he doesn't get the same chances. He doesn't get the same opportunities. Doesn't get those balls whipped in from the right and from the left because we've got inverted fullbacks. So when the context changes, your performances reflect it. So for any players, man, this is what I'm saying. For big players that always chase the big money move and the wages and all of that. If you really want to succeed and progress in your career, and money is important for, I'm not saying it isn't, but to progress and level up, you have to move into a team that you look at what's worked for you, and Solanke should have looked at Bournemouth and move into a bigger and better team, with all due respect to Bournemouth, that would have carried on with the same sort of context that Bournemouth provide into another team. If he moves into that team, say, you know what, I'm going to score goals. But that's the problem, guys. That's the problem. It's the way. It's just a shit brand of football. He's come into that, and he hasn't picked a position. It's Solanke. I think he can do. He can get another 19, 20 goals, but the shit's got to change at Tottenham, and then we got to allow him to be central, create chances for the forwards to score goals, man. We haven't done that for any of our forwards this year, apart from tapping Tobes that plays on the right-hand side with Johnson, where we give him always those balls. You know, he's scored repeatedly. Why? Because we repeatedly create those chances for Johnson to get in and score. That's why he scored the amount of goals that he has, and that's what's worked. That's it, guys. That's just one of the... You're as good as the team that are around you, man. Individual players are no longer.
If you think about
the
it,
Messis
right?
and Ronaldos, forget all of that.
No, Iggy, I agree. Like, if you think about it,
You're
when
working
Poch
in a
came to
context.
Spurs,
You're working in a team, and you have to have a team that's fully functioning. And to get
you
the
need a
best out of that
coach.
player.
Like, you need a coach. When Poch came to Spurs,
Yeah,
Danny
yeah,
Rose
team.
and Cole Walker weren't anything
Team.
special. He elevated them. Harry Kane became who he was under Poch.
Yeah.
So you look at Ericsson was a young player when Poch came there. He evolved him into a mature. I swear to God, there was 2 seasons in a row where Ericsson was posting some of the best midfielder stats in the league in Europe. So I don't know. I just don't believe in Ange as a yeah.
Ericsson was a fantastic footballer. There's no 2 ways about that. But at Tottenham, he excelled because he had everything around him to develop his game into another level. You'd look around him and you're thinking, I am covered in, man. I ain't got to do no defending. I've got these 2 beasts behind me, mopping it all up for me, and all I've got to do is just level up here. And he had all the abilities to do that. But what I'm saying is the context that allowed him to do that. Without that, he wouldn't have elevated it to that level, and that's why he was able to kick on to another team, and because he
Yeah, but who created that setup? Like, who created those? Who allowed 2 players whose tactics were to have 2 players?
Pochettino done the football team and all of that. Pochettino done all the tactics. He had a great team, the scouting and getting to play. Mitchell done his bit. There was a big team behind Pochettino. And we got lucky a little bit with Pochettino. I don't think we set up in a way that we're thinking. We knew exactly what we did, and we had players in fundamental. We got lucky with Poch because I don't think anyone expected him. So to do all of that, and he had a great team around him. We have to replicate that.
But he proved himself at Southampton, which was a small club, not very big stadium. There's some good youngsters. Southampton were one of the best teams football-wise in the league before we took him.
How many players he brought through for England from Southampton and then from Spurs? Where Poch was, listen. He's one of my favourite all-time managers. I love Poch. What he had going for him when he joined the club was Paul Mitchell had brought in Lloris, Dembele. You know, going further back, they had Walker and Rose there that obviously Poch developed. Vertonghen was at the club. Harry Kane was at the club, and Poch went out and he bought Wanyama, he bought Toby, he bought Sonny, So he finished off the 12. Levy wouldn't allow him to build on that 12. And unfortunately, had he done that, that was the time, and also the timing to leave the grounds was the worst timing you could have after 17 wins and 2 draws in 19 home games, and 86 points. So he was fortunate when he came in that he had the basis of that team. The other thing also is that Mitchell was buying players when before transfer market inflation really hit. Because while Poch was there, I think Neymar came in. Neymar went for 170 million or something ridiculous. Mbappe was bought for a fortune. And Levy then, Levy thought, great, Poch has got us to second place, third place, fourth place, Champions League final, and thought he could do it on the cheap. But that's not football anymore.
Yeah.
So and that's where this trend downwards has started. Paul Mitchell went, Levy and Hitchens took over. It was an absolute shambles.
But like I said, there's a team within a team, and it's not just a team that we see here every Saturday afternoon on the pitch. It's also a team off it that needs to be working bang on, and that's what happened with Pochettino. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. Like a lot of Spurs fan, Pochettino was great. He was fantastic because that's probably the best football we've seen in a long time. In terms of having him back, I'm not too convinced. I think that stuff there should be parked up. I'm not really a massive fans of returning managers returning to the club where they're already managed. I think we should look ahead and get other exciting, hungry managers. Iriola could be one of them. I'm not suggesting that he shouldn't be one of them. I think he has he has everything in him to do well at a bigger club, if you like. But to go back to Pochettino, I would want someone to, like Stel said earlier, to maybe do what Poch did, but perhaps even try and get one better if possible. He could be one of them. I want to see exciting managers that they've got a real great idea of how they want to play football. And if we like that, then we go and buy it. We go and get it for our club.
Iggy, you got Terzic doing nothing. The manager that took Dortmund to the Champions League final. Been out of work for months.
Listen, for me, we can come up with so many names tonight. Some people will say Marco Silva. Some people will say you can throw out however many names. For me, before even more important than the manager, has to be the setup at our club that has to change. The wanting to do something great, to create a project that's exciting, that gets us excited again as fans, and say, this is a footballing project that we wish to bring forward, and we want to bring an excited young manager to help us with the vision that we have to bring this forward, and then to get the manager after that to take that project to the next level. Yeah. If I see something like that, then I can get on board and say, you know what, right, let's do it, man. Let's get this manager in and do it. But to bring in a manager without some sort of planning or project to present, to say, this is what I want you guys to do. Are we just hiring just for the sake of it? He's only going to end up, I'll say it again, he's only going to end up in that dead end road that many have ended up going to.
When did we sack
Poch? First few months and then failed after that.
We sacked Poch on November the 14th, 2019.
Yeah. When we didn't renew the contract for Jan, when Ericsson started going all tits up, everything like that. Nothing was dealt with that summer.
Right.
And then it went shortly after that.
So we got rid of Poch in 2019, just before Christmas. It's now 2025. Right, it's now 2025, so it's 5 years later. 6 years. 6 years later. Poch said, I want to rebuild it, and we said, nah. We've spent, since Poch left, over £800 million on players. Imagine we gave that to Poch, where we'd be right now.
This is the story of Tottenham Hotspur, man.
Imagine we gave £800 million to Poch to rebuild. What the fuck we would be right now?
I said last night how much...
It's unreal.
How much money this chairman has wasted buying opportunities, because that's what they are. All these players are opportunities. And then he's listened to Ange, who's bought Solanke and Johnson. He could have had Kudus before Kudus went from Ajax to West Ham. He preferred Johnson to Mohamed Kudus. I mean, it's just staggering. And as a shareholder, I've got to tell you, I'm so pissed off at the money that this chairman has overseen that has just been flushed down the toilet by this club since he joined. The whole thing about not buying players. We had a whole transfer policy with not buying players till the last week of August.
Do you know what? We were actually better in the transfer market. Do you know what? We were actually better in the transfer market when we spent less on transfers. When we had like all these restrictions, we actually did better. If you think of the players we signed under the likes of Christian Gross, Harry Redknapp,
Yeah, we weren't bulk buying. We wasn't bulk buying. We was going and picking up 2-3 quality players and improving.
Think of the players we signed that we don't. Think of the names we signed that we would actually say, do you know what? We wouldn't mind that now. For example, Corluka. A player like Corluka, a player like Steve Malbronk. Nothing special, but just just players that you think, you know what? That was a good little signing. That Ericsson for 10 million. Now, 50 million Solanke, 60 million pound Richarlison, Werner on 185 grand a week.
You still have quality players coming out of Scandinavia. There's quality players in Portugal. There's so many good players.
Scott Parker.
There's so many good players out and about, but you need a scouting network, a proper one, to go and get these players. Just gems, the Dele Allis. There are players out there. You're telling me you can't go and find them?
We paid 12 million for Berbatov.
I must 11. I thought.
It's all down to scouting now, isn't it?
I'm looking at
but Lee, this is what I'm saying. When the money was tight, we were better at scouting. Now we've got we can spend a bit more on the transfer window. We've become shit. Do you know what we're good at? We're good at being tight. We're shit at spending money, though. It's so weird. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I'm looking at the transfers that came in 2012-13, which I think was Villas-Boas, wasn't it? I think he brought in Dembele, Lloris, Vertonghen. I mean, what a three. And he has paid 44 million euros, about 36 million for those three. 37 million.
Half the price
of Lloris and Vertonghen.
Half the price of Richie.
Yeah. Adebayor came in for £5 million that season. You know, Clint Dempsey, they bought Zeki Friars, Lewis Holtby.
Lewis Holtby's still playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still playing.
The thing is that someone in the chat said, I think Sheriff said it, the bail money when we've got 7 players. This is when it all started going.
Mate, do you know who I saw play the other day? He's actually a good player. He's a midfielder. He's actually a good player. Do you remember Eric Torsvet, our goalie back in the 90s?
Yeah.
His son's a midfielder. He's a good player. He's not a bad player.
Who's he play for?
Oh, I can't even remember. Do you know what? I'll Google it now.
There are some proper players about still, man. You just got to recruit. You just got to buy. You got to have a scouting goes all around Europe.
But you know, Perisic bought Vicario for 17, and Doggy for 18, 19.
Right, his name's Christian Torsvet. He's mid-20s. I thought he was younger than that. He's 25. He plays for, at the moment, he's a midfielder. Plays in Italy for Sassuolo.
Okay, yeah, that's in Serie B, though. That's one in Serie B.
Okay.
I saw...
he's a championship player.
You know Thuram, not Marcus Thuram, that plays at Inter Milan. His younger brother that plays at Juve.
Lillian.
Lillian and Thuram's 2 sons. One plays for Inter, the other one plays for Juve. His younger brother of the more famous Marcus Thuram. That's the striker at Inter Milan.
Marco.
He is
Marco.
mustard, man. Marcus Thuram is the Inter Milan, but his younger brother, the other Thuram, plays at a Juve, defensive midfielder. He is mustard, and he got brought in from into Juve. It's nothing. There are proper players about. We just need to have, and we need to, for a team like Tottenham, compared to these other European big giants, you just need to move a lot more quicker to get them in. Brighton are doing it, like Mitoma and players like that. Brighton are doing it. They've been doing it for a while. Why is that? Because they've got a good scouting network. They go and pick up these little gems. Atalanta have been doing it for years. They pick up these little gems, and then they make shitloads of money from them when they sell them on. We need to do the same. When we have everything, the infrastructure, we've got the club, we've got the training going, we've got everything about us to do it.
Iggy, do you not think that, and this is another massive problem with this manager, is for me, and I'll keep banging on that I've spoken to quite a few people that are connected with the club, who've all been saying this is the best crop of kids we've got coming through in the last 30 years. And they're blocking the pathway. I mean, even Austin's been at the club 8 years. He's 25 years old. And everybody thought, well, he hasn't been given a chance. You know, while he's been at the club, I think we had Gazzaniga at the club, didn't we? We had Galini at the club. We had
mate, Austin, he played one match against Newcastle, got man of the match, never saw him again, and we brought Kinski to come and take his place.
It's crazy. He played against Elfsborg, didn't he?
Austin played well against Hoffenheim as well.
Hoffenheim. It was Hoffenheim.
And
he got man of the match against Newcastle at home.
Mate, when I spoke to the coach last year, the coaches at Spurs, when I spoke to them, they said to me, they really want to see Brandon Austin be the number 2, and they're not happy that we've signed Fraser Forster, because they were really impressed with him when he played for England under 21s, and he's been really doing well at training, and they said they really want to see him be the club number 2. So when we signed Forster, they were pissed off with that, and it has stifled his development a bit. But then Brandon Austin's got to look at himself and make a decision. Are you going to hang around here, or are you going to go get a career? Because at Spurs, I think he's finished. They're not going to signing. Well, hold on. Iggy thinks, right? ITK breaking news, everyone. Iggy thinks Vicario might be off, and that's why we signed Kinski.
Yeah, I can't see any other logic why we'd bring another goalkeeper in. What, to be a number 2? I don't know, man. I think if we move into a direction that I think we're going to, I think there's going to be a max exodus this summer. I could see Romero moving on. I could see Vicario moving. They're not going to settle into a program where it's all about bringing youngsters through. Which if that's the direction we want to head to, fine. But I don't think these guys are going to be around.
No, they won't.
So I could see that happening, which is why we brought in a goalkeeper.
Don't you think if we sell Vicario, though, Iggy, there's going to be a major backlash from the fan base, though?
Half of them wanted him out anyway. Half of them wanted them out because of all the amount of goals we conceded from corners. They wanted them out then. You think I've forgotten about those guys that were?
He's not conceded one goal in nearly 2 seasons.
I'm talking about, I'm just saying what he's saying.
That's right. He hasn't conceded one goal through a mistake. Not one. People have turned around and said his footwork's not great. I must say, as a shot stopper, he is absolutely elite.
Look at that. Look, right here. There's a comment right here. Vicario isn't even that good, to be honest. There you go.
Mate, if it wasn't for Vicario, we would have lost to Man United. Bournemouth, we would have lost to Bournemouth. We'd be out of Europe by now. Vicario, listen, let's have it right. Vicario is saving the club right now. He's saving us. 100%. I disagree with you, Rodrigo.
Daniel, just to be clear, where's Daniel? There you see it right here. Daniel, just to be clear, no one's saying about Vicario leaving. I'm saying that's what I think is going to happen, which is why I believe we got Kinski in early, because there's no other logical explanation why we will bring in another goalkeeper in when Austin was good enough to cover whilst we waited for Vicario to come back. to why do we go and play Vicario against Newcastle and Northern Ireland by Kinski, knowing that Vicario was coming back to playing?
You've got a manager. You've got a manager who would rather bring Kinski in than keep giving Austin a chance. You've got a manager that brings Telling, who's clearly unsuitable for Premier League football, and sends Lancashire out on loan. We're short of centre backs. He doesn't pull Phillips back. The whole thing's a farce. He puts Werner on the other week when we're chasing a goal instead of Mikey Moore or Scarlett. I mean, the writing is on the wall. You can see. You don't have to be a genius. This guy again, he's just a clown. We have got a clown for a manager. He is so out of his depth in every single way. We've spoken about his in-game management. We've spoken, team selection. We're talking about round pegs in square holes. You've got some great kids coming through. Doesn't even play them unless he's in last chance saloon when we've got loads of injuries.
Ian, I don't think.
Madness.
I honestly, I don't think, as I said earlier, and there's evidence of what he said, even though at the beginning of the season everyone said it wasn't the case. I think he has very, very little say or interaction when it comes to transfers. I think he's there simply as a last case resort to get something over the line because he has a phone call with someone saying, "Oh yeah, come here, it's great." That's it. I don't see any reason why him as a manager would say, "Yeah, I need another goalkeeper." I don't believe he's in any way, shape or form in charge of any of that. And when he sits in those press conferences, he says, or someone asking him about transfers, and he says, "Oh, you have to ask someone else. It's not my thing." That's all you need to know. This is all club signings. All of them are club signings.
He's the final sign-off, Lee.
Yeah, but Ange agrees to it. But Lee Ange agrees to it. He's accepted it.
I don't think he's got the keys to the castle. I don't think he is the one that makes the final signing.
But he's praising the castle.
I think he may say, here's what your choices you've got. This is who we're going to go for. They're on the verge. They don't know whether to come. Maybe you just have a little bit of a conversation with them. I don't think he gets to choose. I think it's that all of the club is making these signings, and that would make sense if they're doing a youth project, because Ange doesn't do youth project. He doesn't coach youth. That's not his style. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense to him to be going out and buying young players. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
I think the recruitment team brought Graham Bergveld to the club.
Absolutely.
Lange knows Scandinavia inside out, evidently.
Ange sat there at the end of August saying, "I'm happy with the squad. I'm happy with the team." In January, after 2 weeks, when we didn't sign players at the beginning of the window, he sat there saying, "They're working hard. We're working hard." He defends it. He's chosen to be a shield. Fine. If you're going to be the shield, then you got to take the arrows that are fired at that shield. So Lee, this goes back to what we said ages ago. He's a yes man. And a yes man at Spurs will always get crushed. A yes man you're doomed, man. You can't be a yes man at Spurs. You have to be someone like Conte, who says, "I ain't fucking taking this shit." The problem with Conte was he lost it too much. He went a little bit too far. he went proper Napolitanian on everyone.
Still, Ange wanted Solanke and he wanted Johnson.
Yeah, he did want Johnson, yeah.
Those were the two, he wanted Gallagher and Neto and he wanted Odegaard. But he got three out.
This is the point, guys. I don't
know about Odegaard.
It's not about. This isn't about particular players that he wants. It's about players to play in a system. Now, if they don't work out, then that's by the by, because he's not looking for specific people in specific positions. He's looking for Swiss Army knives. The clubs are giving him options, and he's saying yes. That's different to the manager actually going, right, no, I want a number 6. Here's my list of people that I want. Go and see if we can get those. Johnson was on the Spurs' radar before Ange even came along, before he was even thought about as a manager, right? So there's a big difference between him saying, and you can't say that he said, "I want Brendan Johnson. That's the only player I want. Go and get him," and being offered a player because you are a manager of no ilk, right? You are from Celtic and from J League or someone. You've got you don't own the keys to the castle, right? You're just a squatter in there, and the king is telling you what to do. The bald one at the top of the house. That there's a big difference there, a massive, massive difference. So I think he might say yes, let's get him, but it doesn't mean it's the player that he wants. There's a massive, massive difference. He's a yes man, as Stel says, right? Offer the player, we can get him. You're all right.
Yeah, I'm happy. A user with a super chat says, while Levy's at the helm, he will destroy any player that comes in. If you look at the majority of players coming into us, they digress. It's a complete joke. This goes back to the culture, A user. This is what we talk about, the culture at Spurs. Listen, boys and girls and everyone else, we're going to wrap it up. 2 hours has gone by. We've got 5 hours on Thursday. God help us all which way or direction that goes. But let's do a quick prediction. Iggy, AZ Alkmaar Spurs at the lane, 1-0 down.
Man alive, man. I really do hope we make it through. I think I might even go to extra time, but hopefully we'll get the job done 2-1. We don't want to get the job done at 2-1. I think it'll be 2-1 after 90 minutes and get the job done in extra time.
Can I just say, right, if we go into extra time and penalties, we then go away to Fulham on Sunday, who have got a whole week's rest. So you can pretty much guarantee Iwobi, Smith Rowe, and what's his name, the Wolves striker that went there, Jimenez.
If we go through after extra time against AZ Alkmaar, I couldn't give a shit if we lose at Fulham.
I don't care.
We will lose at Fulham if it goes to extra time.
Sure. I mean, it's me. The whole thing's, we got a draw yesterday. Win, lose or draw, it's meaningless.
All right, so Iggy, you're going for a win in stoppage time. Sorry, extra time.
Extra time. I think 2-1 after 90 minutes, then we'll win in extra time.
So I've got to watch 120 minutes of Spurs. Brilliant. Lee?
I mean, this is another one of those who turns up on the night kind of scenarios, right? I mean, should we beat them? Absolutely, we should beat them at home. Listen, I would much prefer to see a performance on Thursday night. That's what I'd rather see. I'd rather see those boys come out fighting. If we lose and we fight, fair enough, but we can't keep scraping through like this. But we'll see. I mean, I think we should beat them at home. 1-0, maybe 2-0. I don't know. I can't predict these things this season. It's really hard to predict anything.
So Lee's going for a narrow win. Lubo, Mr. Positive, clapping away as always. Clap, clap.
2-0 Thursday.
2-0.
Don't know why. I just feel that we'll put it out of the bag. They seem to do that to save his job, don't they? They keep saving his job.
I've got a feeling. I've got this feeling. AZ Alkmaar are going to get a draw.
Tonight's gonna be a good night.
No. It's
I got a feeling.
now the time has come.
End is there. Yeah, now the end is there.
The end is there. I think AZ Alkmaar's manager is going to come with a plan, and I think they're going to get a draw, but we'll be the better team on the night. And I think we go out because we've lost that first leg. I never thought this before. I thought, we got this game. I think we're going out.
Still, I thought on Thursday, yes, they had their moments, but I think we were more bad than they were good.
But we weren't good against Bournemouth.
What appalling! We'd have made Barnett look good on Thursday.
Ian, see, here's the thing: we have to score.
Correct.
Right? They don't have to, which means we're going to push up. And their wingers, Parrott, that one chance, that one goal, they get that goal, it's game on for them. So
he had that chance Thursday, didn't he? It's clean through.
Yeah, I think we're going to draw. Anyway, we'll see.
It's written in the stars, isn't it? Parrott at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium grabs his moment.
Parrot again, ole ole. Fuck's sakes, could you imagine? You know what? Just when you think we can't get any more humiliated, There's that extra little squeeze of humiliation we find. Parrot with the winner. Fuck me. Got a super chat from a user. Sorry, not from a user. From Christian, who says, "Who's our big signing this summer?" Christian, depends where we finish. Impossible to answer. And do we sell many of our young players like Divine Donnelly? If we don't get Europe, I think we will, because they're not going to play at Spurs, or at least they go on loan, which is what Ian was saying, which is why it's so important to be in Europe next season. A user says, "Remember, our ground is not a fortress, but a brothel." Brothel Hart Lane. Jesus Christ.
No,
Not that I know.
yeah,
Yeah. How do you know? How do you know, Lee? How do you know that?
I think it probably means we get screwed there results-wise week after week. So
That's exactly what it means. Everyone gets to go. Guys, we'll be back. Live watch along on Big Up, and then the post-match show in the evening. Come join us. We'll be live from 7:30, probably until midnight. If it goes extra time, then 1 a.m. It's going to be a long, long day. Hopefully, we go through.
Don't forget, also tell them that you do the analysis of the games on Big Up.
Yeah, we do a next day analysis show with video footage and graphs and all sorts the day after, but only for Premier League games, because Big Up only have the tech for Premier League, not for Europe. So there won't be one for this game, but there'll be one on Monday for the Fulham. But I'll let you know. But yeah, we do. It's actually quite a good little show, and anyone's allowed to jump on as well. If you want to jump on, people are allowed to jump on in the audience. Today, Rinkatic jumped on, so I'm trying to get Lee to come on. He sits in the chat calling me names, but doesn't come on the show. That's Lee for you, isn't it?
It's because I'm working, mate.
He's only there to give you stick.
He's in there calling me names.
Send you
Doesn't
some
come
big
on.
bucks. Yeah.
Send me some big bucks. Guys, listen, thanks for watching as always. Big Up. Iggy, Lee, Ian. Big Up.
Big Up, guys, and come on, you Spurs.
Thanks for the comments. Fun again.
Fun and games, everyone. We'll be back. Join us. See you soon. Adios, amigos.
Come on, you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.